Okay, this experience, the Reptilian, and I think it was Joel, because he put Hana in this experience. And he also put Hana in that other experience where he was throwing me around in the astral realm, where he blurted out that song by Aha. But yeah, so I think Joel gave me this experience. And he doesn't always do hardcore sexual stuff. But he put Hana in both of those experiences. This experience and then that other out-of-body experience. But this was more like a lucid dream. But, so anyway, he picked this town called Monett because me and my mom and this person at the hospital or whatever, we were talking about small towns. And anyway, I know we mentioned Monett, but I can't remember why. But so anyway, the aliens, he took me, not the aliens, but the alien, Joel, took me to Monett via Lucid-dream. And they've been doing this shit all my life. Like they take me to Romania, Russia, Chicago. They took me to England 3 or 4 different times, Africa, and a lot of those experiences are on here. Some of them are just dreams, some of them are lucid dreams, some of them are out-of-body experiences, some of them are virtual reality experiences. Well, some of them are both, out-of-body experience and virtual reality experience. Like the one to Romania, that was totally real, it was fun too. But yeah, I don't know why they do that. They just like to do that. It's their personality. And like I say, they've been doing this all my freaking life. I have all these bits of like these experiences coming back to me, just bam, 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 bam. One of them I remember good enough to do a video on it, but a lot of them, I mean, it was 20, 30 years ago, so I don't remember a lot of the details because you're talking 30, 40, 25 years ago. But all these bits and pieces of these experiences where they put me in another reality, you know, in the altered state of consciousness to these towns or cities or dimensions, whatever. Lots of times they tell me where I'm at, but all these little bits and pieces are coming back to me, just bam, 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 bam. Because back then, you know, I didn't know it was the aliens. I mean, I thought my own brain was dreaming up this shit. But it was the aliens dreaming up this shit for me. Yeah. So it was fun. All these experiences. But anyway, so they took me to Monett, the town of Monett, which is about an hour and 15 minutes away from here. But anyway, he basically put me in this scenario where I was dating this woman, this bull-dyke woman. She had short brown hair and she was kind of big, you know, she was chunky, and she was probably like in her 50s, and it's like I was dating her, and so I was bringing in my my bags and stuff from the car because it was like I was staying with her for about 3 or 4 days, and for whatever reason I took my cat Hana with me. Yeah, so I was staying with this woman, and she lived like in this, it was just like a little strip mall type of thing, but it was like small little apartments, just apartment after apartment after apartment. And small little apartments or whatever, and she lived in one of those apartments. And it was me, her, and my cat Hana. We were walking around, and it seemed like she had a son or something, but I don't remember really communicating with him. he was just off somewhere in the apartment. And so anyway, like we were like walking around and we were just talking, blah 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 blah. And the next thing I know, I guess it was time to leave. You know, it was time to leave after the weekend or whatever. And I did used to date somebody that lived about an hour and a half away or whatever. And, you know, so they know all that I would pack a bag or whatever, get in my car and go an hour and a half away or whatever. So anyway, so basically it was ready for me to go. I guess I had already stayed 3 or 4 days there and it was ready for me to go. So I remember I walked out of the apartment with my bags and stuff and I was loading up my car. And I remember, you know, seeing some drama, like this meth head came out of one of his apartments, and he looked real crazy. He had brown hair. He looked real crazy. This meth head dude came out of his apartment and was kind of like storming down the street, and I just looked back at him. I tried to ignore him. That was, you know, something that he just happened to put in the experience. Joel did. But yeah, so some of these people were like, no telling who lived in some of these apartments. You know what I'm saying? They were small little apartments. And some of them, as I walked by them, I mean, there'd be like, I mean, they seemed to be about 500 square feet, but yet there were like, you know, 7 or 8 people living in this apartment. And I guess there was, you know, a lot of drama in some of them. But anyway, so I was loading up my car and he came storming out, that dude or whatever, but I didn't interact with him. I just kind of looked at him like he didn't exist or whatever. Okay, so anyway, after I loaded up my car, it's like I was going back and forth a few times, loading up my car because I was getting ready to go back home. And so anyway, I went back inside, I guess to get another bag or whatever. And I looked over, I guess I was getting ready to get Hana to go drop her off in the car and the pet taxi. And Hana, so what she did in the meantime, what this woman that I was dating, what she did in the meantime, she abused my cat Hana as I walked out, you know, as I went away from the apartment to go to the car, to load up my car. She, and like I said, before this experience, I knew I was in Monett because they somehow program, they already tell me all this when they give me the experience. So that's how I knew I was in the town of Monett. They just programmed my brain for it like that. So anyway, when I went back inside or whatever, I guess apparently to pick up my cat Hana to take her back out to the car, she was crying. Hana was like, ooh, 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 ooh. She was crying and tears were coming out of her eyes. And she, I looked in, this part was virtual reality. I looked in her mouth and she had like a whisk stuck in her mouth and like a hairbrush. Actually, it was the exact replica of a brush that I have, but that's just one that I put in the template. But it was the exact replica of this small little brush that I own. Was in her mouth, and some like office supplies were like in her mouth. And you know, in real life, I mean, in the experience, it just seemed normal. But in real life, and all of that crap can't fit in her mouth. But anyway, so she was like crying and like whimpering, and tears were coming out of her eyes. And this whole time, you know, her mouth was open, I mean wide open, and I saw all this stuff in her mouth. And like I say, the aliens, they're very, I don't know how they do it. They do all that with, you know, technology or whatever. And they're very animated. But that part was virtual reality. And I just was getting like really mad and really angry. Like it was building up, like I just wanted to tell her like, hey, you stupid bitch, why did you do this to my cat? You know, she did not deserve it. I was just getting ready to like build up and build up and build up and explode, you know what I'm saying? But I never did. The aliens, like, some of these reptilians, they like pissing me off in my experiences for whatever reason, because they're just ornery like that. But I was just walking around and I was just mad, you know, I was mad, and I just kept waiting for me to be so mad. I was just going to be like, you know, you stupid bitch, you know, she did not deserve this. What did she do? She didn't do anything wrong. You know, she's a good cat. She's a sweet little cat. And yeah, it's funny how they're always using, like my cats, they gang up on Hana because she's little, but she don't take their crap anymore, but she's little, so they gang up on her in real life. And it's funny how these reptilians like to use Hana in my scenarios too. So yeah, so I mean, it was so real. It was very real. You know, when she opened up her mouth and she was crying and whimpering, and she had like a whisk in her. She had the whisk. She had a brush, and I know she had some other things too that I can't remember. And she had some like clips, some office supplies in her mouth. You know, because it was like she was crying. You know, because she had all that stuff in her mouth. And the whole time I was getting like mad and mad and mad and mad. And then so anyway, the next thing I know, I go walking down to a little festival that was at the end of this little town, and they put that, or not they, but Joel put that in my scenario because you know, in real life I went to a German festival way back in 2009 or whatever, or 8, can't remember if it was 8 or 9. 2009 maybe. I went to this festival, and it was one big beer bang. I just thought it seemed fun, but it was just totally stupid. And that's when I almost passed out because my sugar got really, really low. But well, because I had been dieting and shit, and I didn't know I had pituitary problems. And then I drank like 16 ounces of beer, and I almost fucking passed out. And it's like, oh my God. I don't want to think about any kind of festival. But anyway, so yeah, for whatever reason, I walked down, and it seemed like my sister popped into the scene at that time. And we were walking down the sidewalk, and I was peeping in on people's apartments, and I was just like, gross, 8 people living in one little 500 square foot apartment, because it was like apartment after apartment after apartment, 500 square feet apartments, and there was a lot of people, standing around in those apartments. And then we were walking down the sidewalk to this little festival, and I was looking up at all the little booths and the signs, it'd be like the pie booth, and there was a lot of bright, bright, bright colors. It was very colorful, this festival. Like bright, bright, bright colors, on the headings of each little booth. And one of them was they know I like pie. Well, I don't really like pie, but I love the crust. They know I love the crust. I leave all the pie and I eat the crust. But, so anyway, the reptilian, I mean, this woman, was like bringing these pies out, and I was just like, oh my God, I was just going crazy because, I like the crust and stuff. So anyway, I'm probably forgetting a lot of little pieces or whatever, but because this experience happened, when was it? A couple months ago or whatever, and this was more like, I'll call it a lucid dream, but it was more like a dream. And so sometimes it's harder to remember everything when they give me just dreams. And especially if I wait this long, 2 months later or whatever. But anyway, that was basically it. I was dating this woman, this bull dyke, and she had short brown hair. She was stocky. And I have dated people like that before. The reptilians know that. But anyway, so anyway, after the festival, after I went to the festival, me and my sister, I was looking at all the colorful, bright signs and everything, like the pie booth and these other booths, and there's a lot of people walking around. It was very colorful, all the little words and everything. And like I say, the pie, the woman brought out, she was starting to bring out the pies and stuff, and I was just like, I don't remember eating anything, though. I didn't. Some of my out-of-body experiences, I do actually eat stuff. I did not eat anything in this lucid dream. But I was just like all excited to see the pies and shit. But anyway, so basically, yeah, the reptilian, Joel, he stuck me in this scenario where I was dating this bull dyke woman. I went to her house for 3 or 4 days, and it was time to leave, so I was packing up my car. And I was gonna go get Hannah to put her in the pet taxi. And I remember walking, I had to walk pretty far away from her apartment. I parked pretty far down, the street. And like I say, in the meantime, these drama people were coming out of their apartments on meth and shit. But anyway, so after I went back in the apartment, and after I realized Hannah was like being abused and stuff, I was just getting like so mad. I was just thinking, why did she do that? Like, why did you do that to my cat Hannah? She didn't deserve that. But I did not actually get mad at her. I was just waiting to I was waiting for it to I didn't actually scream at her in the experience. I was waiting for it to build up and build up and build up so I could just explode. And so anyway, yeah, I didn't actually tell her off in the experience, but I wanted to, but I was just waiting just for me to get madder and madder and madder. But I was just so mad, that she did that to my cat Hannah. And like I say, it was so real. That part was virtual reality. It was so realistic. And of course, when you get back to 3D and wake up, you're thinking, well, that's not realistic, because all of that can't really fit in her mouth. She's so little, and her mouth is very little. Okay, so anyway, and like I say, I could be forgetting a lot of little details, but that was basically it. And then when I woke back up, of course, a lot of times when I'm in just a dream, I don't know it. When I'm in out-of-body experiences, I know it. I know I'm under the abduction. I know all that. But when they just give me lucid dreams and dreams, sometimes for those, I don't know that I'm in an altered state of consciousness until after I wake up back in 3D. So after I woke back up, I was just kind of in shock. After I woke back up in 3D and opened my eyes, I was like, oh my God, I just wanted to go back in that dream and beat that bitch ass woman's ass, man. I wanted to kick her ass so bad. But I couldn't. But it's yeah, I woke back up in 3D, and like I said, I was just in shock because, I still, it was so real. Even though it was just a dream, it was so real. And that anger came with me when I woke back up, and I was just like, man, I'm going to go back in that dream and beat her ass. You know what I'm saying? Man, but yeah, but they do that a lot. They piss me off under my abductions and even dreams and lucid dreams. But yeah, it's their own little personality. They create all this stuff, abusing Hannah and putting shit in her mouth and stuff. That's their own little personality, their own unique, personality or whatever. Because she's never been on they couldn't have gotten that from my brain, because Hannah's she's never been on a whisk. She's never played with a whisk. She's never played with a brush. She's never been on clips, those office clips. She's never done any of that. So, David Icke acts like they don't have any creativity. Well, he's full of shit, because they do. They have their own creative brain, these reptilians. Okay, yeah. So anyway, that was, and that's not the first time, I wake up from an experience and it's I want to, go back in that dream and kick this person's ass or finish the sex we were having. You know what I'm saying? Okay, well, this is my experience to Monett, the town of Monett. Thanks for listening.